Welcome to the Fandom Outpost, your podcast for all things pop culture.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where we discuss all things pop culture. Normally, I'm 1/3 your host, but today I'm 1/2 your host. My name is Mark.
I'm Bob, and how you doing, everybody? Thanks for joining us. We're one short. We have Jim on assignment from the Fandom Outpost headquarters, so
That's funny.
we'll hopefully touch base with him when he reports back next time. And but today we decided to pull one out of the archives that Mark and I have a pretty strong affinity for, and that is William Friedkin's To Live and Die in L.A. from 1985. I guess you'd call it a neo-noir crime thriller, and we'll get into it with that, and we'll be talking spoilers. If you haven't seen it in 41 years, then I guess that's on you. But
yeah, right.
We will definitely be
That's all right.
recommending this for anyone who hasn't, and if you'd like to get a flavor for it, we'll cover not shot by shot, but we'll kind of go through sequences and that help build up the story of what's going on and what the character motivations and what William Friedkin was doing at the time. And we'll also kind of blend in some talk about the Antihero, because that definitely plays a factor in this film to the max.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that. But I guess we'll start with our history. Before we even get into that, let me ask you to please like and subscribe to our channel. That's most important. Come on, people, we need some help here. That'd be great if you can subscribe to us and like this video if you do like it.
Yeah,
we're giving our best. We're giving it our best. I guess we'll talk about what the climate was with William Friedkin going into this, and I know he's one of my favorite directors. I don't know how he is on your list, Mark, but
he's such an eclectic director, which is really bizarre to me. Like whenever you see something like, say, To Live and Die in L.A., you can skip back or rewind back and go to like The French Connection, right? So you go, okay, that makes sense. But then you get to like, say, A Sorcerer or The Exorcist, and you're like, oh, okay. Like that's the same guy. So he's got a wide range of stuff that he wanted to do, which I think as a director was really, really great. And, of course, a lot of comparisons to, I guess, The French Connection. This movie got compared to that when it came out, And at the time, I remember everybody was really down on this movie because it wasn't that far out from The French Connection. 10 years, 12 years, something like that. Yeah, but, people were like, French Connection. But when you look at it, okay, well, it was the 80s. He wasn't trying to do The French Connection again. You know what I mean? So, and the birth of, like you were talking about, that Antihero. But it came out at a time where, I hate to say it, folks, if you lived through the 80s, you knew all about that action genre of the, I don't know, it's the muscle-bound, just the Stallone, Schwarzenegger.
the larger-than-life.
Larger-than-life type of thing. So a movie like this that sneaks in and can entertain and make you think, where are you going with this one? How's this one going to end and stuff? Like the Antihero that Bob's talking about is a breath of fresh air in that era, so to speak.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
It is interesting. I'm sure you feel the same way. Like how many movies that we shared a lived experience with when we worked at the movie theater back in the 80s, like you say, the First Blood and stuff like that, where it is a lot of the movies we enjoyed and talked about were of an anti-hero nature.
Right.
It was kind of interesting to see that. I'm like, oh yeah, that one's that one. Blade Runner. There's so many.
Yeah.
We made a list of them to try to remember. How many.
Yeah, I know, right? It did come out in 1985, and it stars the great William Petersen. So everybody knows him now, but back then you really didn't. He had what we considered a banger under his belt, but that would be
that's the year after, yeah.
Yeah.
Just you and me now, sport.
One hunter.
I'm gonna find you, damn it.
FBI agent Will Graham. Manhunter.
So he does this, and then suddenly it's like, who is this guy? And that's when all the directors start noticing him to want to utilize him. And then years later, he would do awesomely on TV with his CSI series.
It's funny that this film, a lot of people compare it to like a Miami Vice with the Michael Mann feel to it, and then you got Petersen that kind of does a Friedkin movie and then goes into a Mann film with Manhunter. So yeah, there's definitely like a connection that you make through him of this style of cop thriller type movie.
Right. Well, could you see, I'm going to ask you this, like you could see, like I've heard people refer to this as Manhunter adjacent. Like if you like Manhunter, you might like this. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you like Miami Vice, and you'll like this and stuff. I don't necessarily always agree with that assessment, because it's not cerebral. It's just gritty, it's just grit, and what I mean by grit, folks, it's like, the actions of your protagonist, the actions of your antagonist, the car chase, which I really want to touch on, just things like that. That's all grit. It's not, it's not substance. It's not stylized. You know what I mean? It's
it's the West Coast Miami Vice, you could say, with with a lot of grit that is not the shiny Beverly Hills style L.A. movie, L.A. set movie that was very popular around the time, like Beverly Hills Cop or whatever. This is like the underbelly, the refinery industrial section, just areas that you're not used to seeing in a film that are representative in this.
I know we jumped right into it stuff. William Petersen plays a Secret Service agent. Okay. And he is, spoiler alert, like we said, his then at the time partner, who is, and here's one of the tropes that I don't like. He's days away from retirement. And, he goes investigates a counterfeiter. He ends up getting killed by this counterfeiter, whose name is Rick Masters, played by, drum roll please, a very young Willem Dafoe, who just, if William Petersen wasn't the guy that he is, he holds all of his scenes, but Willem Dafoe is just, oh my God, the magnetic charm, the way you gravitate towards his scenes are just amazing. He's a character that if the whole movie was about him, you would watch. He's that good. That early on in life, he's that good. Anyway, so
one thing about Dafoe, before you jump in, I know he's coming off just a couple films. I think it was The Loveless, which is a Catherine Bigelow film. He played a character in a motorcycle gang, and then I think he was in The Streets of Fire was before this, if I'm not mistaken.
A lot of people consider Streets of Fire as kind of like his debut, his big screen, really big debut. That's where a lot of people know him from. If you haven't seen Streets of Fire, folks, go back. He is that's one of those, let me choose some scenery. They got the right guy for that. Like the Green Goblin is definitely in the Streets of Fire. Like you can see that character of Norman Osborn in Streets of Fire. So, but William Petersen's character gets a new partner, and he's like, I'm going to take down Rick Masters no matter what. It's very important, folks, that you understand, or when you're watching it, that when he tells this character in the beginning of foreshadowing, so to speak, I'm going to take him down no matter what. That's a trope that you hear a billion times, but this is literally a no matter what type of character. Right. So
the names are funny with Chance, because he is such a risk taker. He's kind of shown base jumping, which they called it before, bungee jumping off a bridge.
Oh my God. I forgot about that.
He does that as a thrill. He talked about as a kid he'd jump off garages. So you get the sense that he's this guy who takes risks, to the nth degree. And
An
Rick
adrenaline
Masters is
junkie.
kind of the master of counterfeiting. He's such a meticulous. He's an artist on one hand, and then he takes that art background and makes counterfeit money out of it. With his skills.
And the supporting cast for To Live and Die in L.A. is just great. It's rounded out by a bunch of character actors. I know one of them in there is one of the guys that you've always liked, which was John Turturro.
Yeah.
He's an associate of Rick Masters. And Steve James is another associate of Rick Masters. He was a character actor from the 80s and really big buff guy, weightlifter type of guy. And he's got a couple of great scenes in there. So that's really good. And I believe Robert Downey Jr.'s father is in there. Yeah,
he's the chief, right?
Police cat. Yeah, the chief. He's the
Of
Section 102.5. What? You know, you lost a prisoner. Yeah. So good characters. Anyway, sorry.
It's sad to see how many of them have passed away. I was kind of going through the list, and 1, 2, 3, at least 4 of these actors have passed away.
Yeah. Well, Steve James unfortunately died really early in his career of, I think, cancer. So
he was 41.
Yeah, he died early on and stuff.
But I guess this is a 40-year-old movie. I mean,
and
people are going to get older, unfortunately.
They were high 30s maybe when they made it. I'm not sure and stuff. But
you got Turturro, you got Dean Stockwell.
Oh yeah, Dean
lawyer.
Stockwell playing Grimes' lawyer. Yeah, I forgot about him.
He's got a great part. Darlene Flugel plays kind of William Petersen's informant that he is kind of holding her parole over her head through the whole movie, and that's kind of a key part of the film is how she kind of fits into things because she kind of sets up I guess it's a trap. I think that leads to the car chase.
Yeah, and it is that's the catalyst. Like if you go back and watch the whole movie, she's the catalyst for everything that happens after that. You know what I mean? Like
it's a very simple plot. It's just this Richard Chance going after Rick Masters to stop because Masters has killed his first partner.
Jimmy and that's basically what it is. It's a revenge thing and stuff. But nobody's been able to get next to Rick Masters. So what it is he has to have buy money. And in one of the pivotal scenes, that Darlene Flugel's character tells Chance about somebody coming in on one of the trains that's going to be wearing cash, a lot of cash. So Chance suggests to his now partner, we should rob the guy. Take his money. He's a scumbag. Who cares?
Right. These are cops talking.
Yeah, and
Secret Service.
Secret Service. And so that's what we mean by about the Antihero thing. He has said at the very beginning with his new partner, I'm going to do whatever I can to nail this guy. And of course, these are unrealistic things that happen, but
there's a lot of lines crossed.
A lot of lines crossed. And when they rob this guy, it goes awry in the most awry way it can go. Like, I mean, it's basically the guy ends up getting killed
because he's an FBI agent.
Yeah, he's an undercover FBI agent
on a sting operation.
On a sting, and when they rob the guy, they inadvertently insert themselves into the sting, so it doesn't happen. But all the other agents try to stop them, thinking they're just bad guys. And what obviously is the highlight of the movie is the chase that ensues. So, because that's where that comes from. They try to get that.
It's the corner piece of the whole movie is this incredible highway chase scene. And I've read that Friedkin wanted it to, if it wasn't as better than The French Connection, which he did that one, then he didn't want to do it.
Then he didn't want it in there.
He tried to up it, and he ups it.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It leaves you speechless because there's so much involved.
There you go. That's what it was. Like, I know that I can't really put into words because when you watch it, you're like, there's kind of this breath and, get him off me, Johnny. You're like, what's going on? How are they going to get through this, Well,
you think it's going to end, and then it cuts it. It goes into a part 2 where he starts going against traffic. It kicks in.
Yeah, he goes the highway,
Because he's cornered. They corner him. There's the first part of the chase.
They corner him. Yep.
And then he's like, I'm going this way. And it's like the wrong way.
FBI agents coming out of nowhere. They don't know they're FBI. They just think they're bad guys that are trying to kill them or whatever and stuff. So the unrealistic thing is that, they get the one bullet hole in the window, and he's like, we'll go to an auto parts store and get that fixed, but I don't know how they would have done that. That's kind of a over the top thing, but it is good stuff. But sorry, I know I'm laughing, but the point of that is that the next day in the briefing, they find out this dude was an FBI agent because the chief tells everybody this guy was assassinated and they're looking for these two dudes, blah, blah, blah. And the revelation on Chance's and Vukovic's face are, at least for a minute, it's like, wow. But then the stairwell scene right after that, dude, Chance is like, I told you whatever it takes. So.
He's like, are you with me? If you're not with me, you're against me. If you're not with me, you're against me, kind of thing. And Vukovic has to make a decision. Like, do I stick and go all the way with this, or do I turn him in and go against the code? Because Vukovic's family has been, they've all been in law enforcement, so he's kind of got this.
Yeah.
Right, he's got this code that he wants to live by, and So one of the themes, though, overall, is counterfeiting. And it's kind of interesting that most of the characters in the film are kind of counterfeit of them. Their characters are kind of counterfeit.
Yeah, characters are counterfeit. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's not who they seem.
That's what's funny.
And, it's an interesting thing.
I don't know if the behind the scenes stuff, and I don't know if I'm going to insert this here because you were talking about counterfeiting. The real Secret Service was involved because the research done for counterfeiting, when you watch the opening scene, basically is what it is, was so realistic that the FBI got involved and they had to make sure, the Secret Service got involved, the real Secret Service, and had to ensure that none of those bills and what they were doing, because they were using real printing presses and stuff like that, got into circulation. The unfortunate thing is some did.
One of the sons of a crew member or something got it out. Trying to pass a funny 50 on me.
yeah. But I think that's amazing that when you watch that scene of what it was, it's just the opening scene, and you're like, wow, that's really cool. What a process, And then there's another scene, I think, later on when he talks about, do you know what you need to do and stuff, and they show him doing other stuff. And, Rick Masters and stuff. So, but that opening scene really shows you the process with which a counterfeiting operation would go through. I don't know whether or not it's true today or whatever people would do, but the plates and all that and stuff like that is really cool. And
it's a great montage
set to Wang Chung's score,
this 80s pulsating 80s score, and it's a wonderful soundtrack.
Right.
I guess we could dip into that real quick. That from what I read, that Wang Chung hadn't seen the movie before they wrote all the music. They did all the music, basically, except for there's like one weird song at the end when the girls drive off. It's like a pop song. I just remember that the other day. I'm like, I don't think they were responsible for that. It's kind of like a radio song or something that's playing in the car or something. But
in their car, right, in that sweet ass Ferrari they drive away in.
Yeah. But all the music in the film, even the not only the soundtrack but the score is also Wang Chung
score. Yeah. So and William Friedkin, he had one request. He was like, "Don't come back to me with a song that says to live and die in L.A." And literally, the opening song they came back with "To Live and Die in L.A." And he was like, "Yeah, that works. That's great." He's like, "Thank you." But it's just one artist to another artist. It's like you got to let those guys do what they do. You know what I mean? And so. And it's not a score and or a soundtrack that made the pop charts. You know what I mean? It's not like that kind of thing. It's not like Beverly Hills Cop that, the Pointer Sisters and Bob Seger and all those guys, that kind of thing. It's not like that. And by the way, I still think it's a rarity today to have a band do a score / soundtrack for a movie. I still think it's not as prevalent as it was. So it's ultra rare back then. I mean, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, they've been doing that for years.
Thing.
Yeah, so I would say those guys, and and great for them that they he was able to transition to that to do that because their scores are really good. And then the other one comes to mind would be like Daft Punk for the Tron. Is it Legacy?
Yep.
Tron Legacy. Everybody loves that, but that's it's not word. Yeah. So
Johnny Greenwood, I know, did Begonia, stuff like that from Radiohead. Johnny Greenwood. I mean, there's
right.
Not the whole band. You know what I mean? It's more of an artist from the band. This was like a pure pop band, right? Wang Chung was like they were in that moment, like they were part of the 80s. So yeah, I was gonna say yeah. So well, the only thing I could think of the equivalent to that is like the Highlander movie and the Flash movie, which is Queen did the score / soundtrack for those. Like, you know what I mean? That would be the two big things of the time that I can remember. I can't remember anybody else. Right.
A band
I love,
that was doing anything like that. And
the sound that they have for this, though, I love. I love when a soundtrack becomes like a character, like a John Carpenter or whatever, where that soundtrack is like, the feeling of the whole film, and it's like a character in itself. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I love, and you and I have talked about at length before, is that once, because I always talk about John Carpenter, who loved the piano, and then once he discovered the new synthesizer of the time, his music changed for the better, I would think. And so when you got rock musicians who are experimenting with a lot of different stuff that is not their, if you will, their pop culture references. So if you go back to listen to, Everybody Wang Chung Tonight, like that kind of pop song that they're producing, and suddenly, they have synthesizers and nice piano key accompaniments for certain songs and stuff where you're like, wow. But that was a home run. In my eyes, that score works for that movie. It's a home run. And it's, as Bob just said, it's a character unto itself. So it helps fuel the movie and keeps it going. And I think that if you listen to it without the music, it's okay, but it really helps it propel it along. So I know a lot, that's what the purpose of music is. So it sounds kind of weird, but this one really helped in that case, so. Well, but I also think that, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that the context of the film coming out in '85 with Friedkin is he had not hit it big since basically The Exorcist.
Exorcist, yeah.
You got you have Sorcerer, The Brink's Job, Cruising, Deal of the Century, and then I think from what I've read is that he had to hit it somewhat big with this to get back into good graces of Hollywood. And
the good graces, yeah.
Yeah, this is a very low budget, $6 million to make this. That's kind of an independent territory film,
Well,
to be made.
Back in the day, it's not. I mean, $6 million back in the 80s were like, oh my God, but stars hadn't ballooned up yet. Yeah, you're right. It is.
Hence all the newcoming actors and newcomers and things. Fly by the seat of your pants kind of filmmaking,
right?
And it looks
what
tremendous.
I call that?
The guerrilla filmmaking.
The guerrilla filmmaking, yeah, dude. Like this has a feel. This has the polish of the '80s celluloid, but it feels like guerrilla filmmaking, but it doesn't look like the 70s. Like it feels like a 70s movie, but it has the polish cinematography of an 80s movie. Right. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? So like it looks good. It's not like it doesn't. But also, I don't know who the director of photography is, but there's a lot of intercut scenes that like the face of the dance scene where he goes and watches his girlfriend do performative dance. Like there's like the open, like with her eyes that opens and she's staring at the camera. And there's a lot of these type of cuts like that are really artistic cuts that are unique to the film that give it that neo-noir look.
Let's give the DP some props here because his name was Robbie Mueller, and he was known for Paris, Texas, Repo Man. That's the ones I know the most. I'm not real familiar with his work, but he does an excellent job on this. You're right. It definitely has a feel to it and an energy to it and an artistic representation to it. It's just really, that's why it's one of my favorites. I've always loved this movie. What else?
You have.
Touch on one other thing. Yeah, I've been a big champion of this one I've bugged you guys for a long time about having this on the back burner to finally get to it.
I feel bad because in certain circles, even in our own circles, when Manhunter came out, this just got pushed aside. It really did. Everything nuanced about Manhunter, from Petersen's performance to anybody else. Oh, I'm sorry. By the way, we lost one of our favorites this past month. Tom Noonan passed away, and he was Francis Dollarhide in. Well, he was a lot of things, but he played Francis Dollarhide in Michael Mann's Manhunter. But once Manhunter came out, this movie, as I said, people I've heard referred to as Manhunter adjacent, because Manhunter got the more, everybody loves Manhunter, but this is a forgotten gem. Like, if I had to pick between the two that I would watch this more, To Live and Die in LA, than I would watch Manhunter. Manhunter being that cerebral one, like, you got to be in a certain mindset, but you can put this gritty noir film in anytime you want, and it's going to entertain you. You know what I mean? So it's really going to propel you along its journey. So
as we go through the movie a bit more, we still have the Richard Chance going after Rick Masters, and they're parallel lines right now. And we had mentioned chances, taking more chances to cross lines to get to to Masters. Real quick though, along the way, you mentioned the dancing scene with Rick Masters and his girlfriend at the time, who's played by Debra Feuer, I believe. She's Bianca, and she's in this kind of like this artistic cabaret style dance,
interpretive dance
thing with some crazy Wing Chun music going. And after they finish, it's just, and I wanted to touch on like the sexuality part of this, which is kind of ambiguous and kind of interesting in its own way, that you're behind who you think is the dancer, Bianca, and you're walking, and it's not a woman, because the shoulders are real muscular, and you just know something's not quite what it seems. And they walk up to Rick Masters and they start kissing, open mouth kissing, like passionately. It cuts around to the back, reverse angle, and it's Debra Feuer, and it's Bianca, and you just have this weird
hairpiece.
Yeah, it has like this short hair wig, and you're like, did I just see what I saw? I mean, why is it mixing signals there?
Yeah, there was a male actor that they had dressed up as much as they could to look like her. So it is a shock to what you see. And then when they do the cut and she takes off the wig, it is her. But clearly when he walks up to her, and Willem Dafoe, he goes for it. God love him. Like, he is open mouth kissing whoever that actor is and stuff. So, but it is a subversion where you're like, wait, what? Is that one of the guys in the show?
For the viewer to like get kind of confused by what's going on. It's just
it unnerves you too.
Yeah, it's just
it's throw you off pace.
Yes.
Well, Rick Masters is a character unto himself, meaning like not only is he a counterfeiter, which is his day job, he's a painter. He supports her interpretive dance thing. All this other stuff, but his character is so out there. He's not your. I don't know. It's almost like the counterfeiting is his day job. Like, that's how I always looked at it. Like, he could go off and do a bunch of other stuff and he'd still be this eccentric type of character, but that's what he chose to be. He chose to be a criminal for some reason. But there's this subtext too about him.
He had been incarcerated for like some kind of robbery, right? They mentioned that, like, he was doing time for some kind of crime, money crime, or theft,
right,
or something.
And then that's where, I don't know if he learned to paint in prison or if it was, you know what I mean? But then he ends up, they showcase some of these paintings that he likes to do and stuff, and he paints his girlfriend and stuff like that. And then if he doesn't like him, he burns them, I guess.
Right, he's like a perfectionist.
That's one of the nuances is like he'll burn if you don't like him, but like, there's a subplot, not a subplot, but his attorney is always like, you should sell those and stuff like that. They're really good or something. I don't know. So it's just interesting.
Yeah.
So,
and fire is kind of a theme with him because you're right. He ultimately meets some demise later with some fire. And
with fire.
He burns the counterfeit money that's been out unauthorized by him.
Circulating.
That,
yeah.
Right.
Yep.
In a fireplace. He's burning his artwork. So there's definitely this reddish tint fire theme going through his character.
Yeah, there's some creative choices. Sorry, I was going to say, so the, what do you call that when you do the negative? Like the negative is on screen, then it comes into the positive. There's a couple of shots like that. So it's like, Master's face is in the negative, then it comes to the positive, and that happens at the end with the flare when when Vukovich is shooting him. It pauses to the negative, like it's a counterfeit version of the scene you're watching. It's kind of interesting, you know what I mean? So I always thought that was a nice aesthetic choice, whoever's choice that was, Friedkin's or the DP or whatever, but it really kind of gives it that. It's just an unexpected. You didn't see that in the 80s. Friedkin must have really said, I don't want to do, I'm not going to do your standard stuff that people are doing right now. Like, I can't do that. We have to do something else. And by the way, folks, all these characters, I guess the chief is the best guy that you would have an example of. He's by the book. Like, it's the only character in there. Everybody else is just a horrible person.
Well, I wanted
they're all,
I wanted to bring that up as far as relationships. The only real relationship that you see in this whole movie is Richard Chance and Jimmy Hart. As Hart's retiring, Chance gives him a fishing pole, and he's like, I'm going to miss you, amigo, and that kind of stuff.
But you know what, dude? There's a moment in there that foreshadows the movie, okay? And I'm glad you brought that up, because for me, it really does. And so that's when they're talking about, hey, I heard you got something going on tomorrow, whatever. It's like right when he gives him that fishing rod, and he's like, Chance says something, and his partner gets upset. He's like, you're such a fucking hot dog, you know? And he's mad because of what Chance is talking about, taking these risks and doing all this. You're such a fucking hot dog. I'll talk to you later. So even then, I got the sense that this partner kept him in line. And when his partner dies, then Chance moves into the center spot. He moves into the spotlight, and there's nothing keeping him in line anymore.
Yeah.
So
the
I think
guardrails are off.
Yes. And I think that even if it wasn't Rick Masters, and this is my opinion of the whole film, he would have been like that and anybody he went to get. Once the guardrails were off, he would have been like, I'll just nail them however I can. I got a badge and I'll do whatever I want with it. You know what I mean? So
let me just quickly make a note about Jimmy Hart, because Jimmy Hart, was he the first in film to say, I'm getting too old for this shit? Because that was before Lethal Weapon even. And I'm thinking, God, was that the first time we hear that?
You know what?
I
should know. Well, I should know when Lethal Weapon came out. That's the problem. So Lethal Weapon was, and I don't have my notes, but
is that a little bit later?
It would be around the same time.
The first use of I'm getting too old for this shit.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
But anyway, back to the parallel lines.
Well, the parallel lines is once he gets the buy money and Vukovich is in. There's a scene in there that Vukovich goes to the attorney, which is Master's attorney. I don't think that people make that connection, and I'm pretty sure that the Secret Service guys don't. I don't think they know Dean Stockwell is Master's attorney. If they do know it, it's never mentioned. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure how they get connected with Dean Stockwell, but Vukovich goes and says, hey, he tells him everything. Like, what do I have to do? The problem with that is that later on, if you get a sense for the movie, that the attorney ratted them out. He tells Masters about them being cops, because of all this. And the giveaway is when he sniffs the money, when Rick Masters, Willem Dafoe sniffs the money, he's like, hey, Mr. Jessup, like what you do? And they start laughing, like your job, ha 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 ha, so that it's not going to have a pretty ending. But once they meet up, then it becomes, I guess...
Cat, meat, mouse.
Cat and mouse, kind of like, how do I got to do one up in this, and we're going to set the buy for all this and stuff. And then there's all this subplots that were all fringes that he has to tie up. So Masters has to tie up the printing that was unauthorized, and then Chance has to catch Turturro. You know what I mean? Like they got to get all that. You know what I mean? So they got to get all that kind of taken care of before you can have your big finale between the protagonist and antagonist. All these other loose ends that were running in the parallel stories even though they're semi-connected, they were still in their parallel stories, and they got to wrap those up before you can get to your big buyout, if you will. You know,
quick aside on John Turturro's character plays Carl Cody. And he's kind of the mule, right? I would say. Pretty much.
Yeah, he is
Masters,
the mule. Yeah, for Masters, yep.
Between the streets and Masters, and there's a great chase scene on foot in an airport that is worth the price of admission.
Oh my God, yeah.
And that was pulled off again with Friedkin. The story I had read was Friedkin, the airport security was like, I don't want you running on that rail, the handrail part. And Friedkin told William Petersen, it's up to you what you want to do, action.
Yeah, whatever you want to do, dog. Yep, that's right. I remember that. Yeah.
And he,
and he was off and running, dude.
Federal agent, excuse me. Ma'am, I'd like to see the bills that man just handed you, please. Listen, you wouldn't have a pencil with an eraser that I could use, would you?
Sure. There you go, sir.
Okay, thank you.
That's a great, and he's doing his own stunts.
That siren going off to start the chase, that's another, I don't know if it's Friedkin or what. Yeah, the music kicks in, and it's, dude. So it's just one of those, and there's a whole moment when there's got this nice zoom in on William Petersen's face as he's waiting for Vukovic to see if they pass that funny dollar. Yeah, he's checking his watch and stuff. Oh my God,
Vukovic dude, he's like rubbing the thing and gives him the nod.
As he passed that phony bill, he's like, gives him the nod, and he's off and running. The thing that was funny about Turturro is he's like, how does he know they're coming to get him? Like, it's just that paranoia of a criminal in a movie.
Paranoia. And he ends up in the restroom, in the men's room. Here comes one of our favorite lines.
Yeah. Hey, what the hell? You some kind of freak? Yeah, because Chance is looking underneath, and he kicks open one of the restroom doors.
Stalls.
And the dude's like, hey, man, what the hell? You some kind of freak?
Hey, what the hell? You some kind of freak?
That was a line we used to say all the time.
Oh, my God. Well, we still use it today. So I don't like when he comes out and he shoots. To me, that was unnecessary.
Like a warning shot?
Like he fires his weapon in the airport, like a warning shot. And I don't know. I think that was for the movie only. Like, how are you going to end the scene? You know what I mean?
U.S. Secret Service. Oh, I touched you. Under arrest possession. You're making a mistake. Get out there!
And it actually ends with a comedic moment where Vukovic punches in 10 seconds later. Everybody freeze! And then the guard busts in. Oh, no, sorry, I got it backwards. The guard busts in that was chasing Chance. Freeze!
Oh, yeah.
And then Vukovic busts in to the guard. Put your gun down. And then a passenger is just like, hey, man, I just came down to take a leak. It's a really weird, rare moment of levity in the movie. Get the bag, Johnny. You know what I mean? Right. So it's just kind of funny that after all that, and they're sweating balls. Like, if you look, you look at that 4K version, dude, those dudes are sweating balls. They were running to the airport.
Yeah, they were doing the stunts. That's a great airport sequence. But back to Turturro, he gets incarcerated, and he's, Masters has got to gauge whether he could trust him without, flipping. And Masters comes to visit him in prison, and I love the line that Turturro's like, he knocks on the window. He's like, don't forget about me. He's just like,
I won't. Yeah, I'd rather drink this shit pink cement than have these doctors cut me open, because he's got ulcers. I don't know. Yeah, ulcers and
yeah.
stuff. So he's like, all right. He's like, I don't want those doctors cutting me open and stuff. It's funny because even back then, you're like, man, who's this guy? The supporting cast, you could tell that I mean, at the end you don't know, but like, wow, this guy, he's kind of commanding screen presence too. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's always really good when you're like,
So,
Turturro
early.
went on to have, oh my God, a really great career. So to see that early stuff too, you're like really good. So I don't know.
And those who may not know him by name would know him from Severance on Apple TV. He's got a great role in that series. Currently, that's like he's amazing.
Currently,
so,
yeah.
he's an amazing actor. So yes, so many good actors came out of this. This is way early on. As we wind down here, let's just mention, I forgot to mention that the film is based off an 1984 novel by the same name by a U.S. Secret Service agent, Gerald Petrovich.
Petrovich, yeah.
Who
Petrovich,
co-wrote
right.
the screenplay with Friedkin. I want to give credit to that. I haven't read that. I wish I could get my hands on a copy of that. I'd love to read, but I heard it's a bit different, like most novels are from a film. But it'd be really interesting to see how the characters flesh out in the novel. I'd like to get my hands on that someday. Haven't gotten around to that.
Yeah, I've never read it either. Yep. So
yeah, it would be a fun read.
I mean, it's just like Michael Mann taking a lot of his crime stuff from sources back in the day and stuff, and then the guy that actually is the basis for one of the characters in Heat. I don't know if it's the Pacino character. You know, Mann actually gave him a start in acting and put him in all his movies and stuff. So it's kind of cool that these guys employ, if you will, like, oh, that's the dude who wrote the book. Let's just let him write the screenplay and stuff. Like, you don't see that nowadays. Like, I don't feel like you do.
Dennis Farina being a real life cop, coming into acting.
If we don't do something about him, because we liked him way back in the day with his Crime Story and the Miami Vice appearances that he made. But I mean, he started with Thief. We can go all the way back to Thief, and Manhunter and just everything else. In fact, he's in Snatch that I love. If you've never seen Snatch. He has a great role in Snatch, and then of course he's in Get Shorty. Great role in Get Shorty. Like I just love that guy as an actor. It's too bad I think he passed before his time, but yeah. Well, that's something that's unique too. Like this is a guy that was a cop. He had a career as a cop, and then he retires. I don't know anything about him being a cop. I just know he was a cop. I mean, he could have been a fucking decorated cop for 30 years and just had all these accolades. And then all of a sudden he becomes an actor, and he becomes one of my favorite character actors of all time. I mean, how crazy is that, dude? I mean, Jesus.
It's weird. Let's get to the point of the ending here. And if you haven't seen the movie, I guess now's the time to maybe skip this portion. We'll just kind of wrap it up with what the ending, which was very controversial at the time. And
extremely controversial.
And they actually did a reshoot for an ending because the studio thought it was too grim. So if you want to sign off and join us later after you watch the movie, now's the time to sign off because we're going to go into the ending right here. 3, 2, 1. So
they do get the bye. Vukovich and Chance, they get the bye. They meet up with Masters. By the way, there's a dude who always kind of hang around with Masters. His bodyguard partner. You saw him in the very beginning. He's the one that shot Jimmy Hart. So he's there. He's kind of in every scene. He's the muscle. Yeah, you got to talk about that. Yeah. So they're meeting in a gym because Masters he hides in plain sight, and that's one of the reasons why Chance hates him. Like nobody can get next to him, nobody can bust him, and he hides in plain sight. He's not an elusive criminal. They can't get warrants. They can't do anything. So he's like, hey, I'm at this gym 3 times a week. So that's where they decide to have the bye.
Right.
And the bye does not go as planned. So, you know.
It just goes
and it happens
south
very
quick.
quickly. It's quick, too. And when he finally says, you're under arrest, Secret Service, Chance, in his arrogance, takes one of the counterfeiting coins that he found at the very beginning of the movie and stuffs it into Master's mouth. And he's like, that's for Jimmy Hart, stuffs it in his mouth. But the goon, Muscle, he's like, back up, man. He backs up against the lockers, and then it goes south from there. I don't know how to explain it. So,
well, Chance turns his back, right, or turns back, and then.
Well, he does that whole. That's what this is for Jimmy Hart. And I guess Vukovich or somebody should have been looking at him, but somebody was not looking at the muscle, because the muscle turns and he opens up and he grabs a shotgun out of it, and I guess, basically he blows away Chance. There, we've said it. So, and shoots him right in the face.
There's a few face shots in this film. It's very disturbing that you're surprised that they show in an 85, film from 85. It's like, like, wow, they really are going all out, showing everything. A lot of blood.
It's one of those things. It's like it looks like whenever you watch it, even in 4K, it's unfortunate. I'm not trying to diminish what it is, but it's almost like they filled the shotgun with all the blood, because when it shoots him, his face is instantly bloody. Like, it doesn't look like it explodes like you would imagine a close range shotgun would do.
It kind of jump cuts a little.
Yeah, it does. Where it's like boom, and then suddenly the blood is there.
Like, boom,
and Masters is gone. You can't even know what happens to him. And Vukovich. So to break the scene down really quick, he gets the shotgun, he ratchets it, he points it at Vukovich. Finally, when Chance sees him, he turns and says something, and when he goes to shoot him, that's when he turns and shoots Chance. The bad guy shoots Chance. And Chance shoots him as well, which is bizarre because Vukovich doesn't do shit.
Yeah, he was totally shocked.
Like he's frozen in fear. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and I think it's one of those, it's a reactionary thing. I got a shot off, the dude fires a shotgun at me, and then, so the muscle and Chance are both dead.
You followed this character the whole movie. This is what people have such a problem with in theaters, I guess, is that you were trying to, like, do I care about this, Richard Chance? Do I care about this character? And then he's just offed, like, instantly. There's no, like, dramatic build-up final confrontation with him, at least. Vukovich has a confrontation
no dying lines, no nothing. You know what I mean? He's just done. That's
like,
it.
Just done. It's shocking. No, and then it goes on to Vukovich. Vukovich tracks down Masters back at the studio, I think it was.
It's his printing press. Yeah. Like, it's where he was doing a lot of his printing.
And he's trying to get rid of all the evidence.
Yeah, it's all on fire. He's burning everything. There's none of that. And Masters is just sitting in the middle of it. You know what I mean? Like, he's just sitting there. Fire. And then it all comes, like, crashing down because Masters looks at Vukovich and says, why don't you take the deal Grimes offered you? And that was the attorney thing, earlier in the movie. And he's like, wouldn't rat out your partner, huh? So he knows at that moment that Masters has been one step ahead of him the whole time, that they weren't going to win. And Vukovich kind of loses it, I guess. He beats on Masters a little bit, but there's this pause moment where he's looking around and everything burning, and they realize the whole case is, like, it's gone. Like, they got nothing. They did all this for nothing. That one guy, the Sting setup got killed. They got away with that. They did this. Chance is dead, and he's kind of just looking around, and then Masters beats his ass for like a 10-second moment,
Hits him with a board, knocks him over, knocks him out kind of a bit.
Knocks him out. And he's going to burn him, too.
He's getting, like, some Excelsior or whatever to put on him to help him
put on him
go down with the flames.
Yeah. Yep, to put him on.
He does one of those. Rolls over
with his gun, and he shoots Masters. So so in the end, they get Masters, but they didn't get Masters. You know what I mean?
Right.
The price they paid to get him was probably not what they wanted to pay. And I know Bob loves this ending, so I want Bob to talk about the very final scene. So
yeah, it's right. So Masters goes up in flames poetically throughout the whole film. He's been dealing with fire. Vukovich leaves, and then we have this coda part that you see Chance's Bronco or pickup or whatever. I think it was a Bronco. Kind of pulls up to where
something like that. Yeah,
the Ruth character, who's the
Darlene Flugel's character. Yeah,
right. Ruth, who is the informant who's on parole, and Chance has held that over her head, revoking that parole if she doesn't give him information. So now Vukovich comes pulling in, and he's dressed differently now because he's been kind of nerdy the whole movie, but now he's kind of got the cool guy jacket like that Chance has, and the sunglasses.
The cool guy jacket, yeah, and the sunglasses. That's right.
Yeah, she's like putting stuff in a suitcase, like she's getting out of town. You know, she's had it. She's finally got herself free.
Well, I think she thinks, yeah, that's it. My interpretation is she's free. She knows Chance is dead. You know, like, I'm done now. And then Vukovich shows up, knocks on the door, and when she answers, she knows who he is, I think, because she doesn't not recognize him, because he doesn't have to introduce himself. You know what I mean? So, but he does talk to her about, you know, hey, don't shine me on. You know, you knew who that guy was. Like, he puts it together that she set Chance up and him. She was in on that sting thing, and she was hoping that hoping that Chance got killed. Yeah, they get caught so that she'd be free and stuff. So the look on her face, though, dude, when he's like, "You're working for me now," like, oh, what a gut punch at the end of the movie.
Yeah. So he kind of
like she's
takes
not
over
free.
the role.
Yeah,
he's taken over the Chance role of dirty cop, which is again very, very grim for an ending of a cop
for an
thriller.
ending of the movie. Yeah,
and real quickly,
you're out of breath when you watch it.
Yeah. Real quickly, Friedkin was asked by the studio, I guess, to reshoot an alternate ending, which is ridiculous, and he even says it's ridiculous, and he saw it on the screenings, was like, get this shit out of here. Was like they're in like an outpost, like they
basically got demoted to somewhere,
like some kind of Antarctic outpost or something, and they're like sitting in this alone, far away, and then the camera kind of zooms out, and it's like it tells you, I forget what it says where it's at, but it's like some crazy location.
Well, I think
they're far away.
I can't prove it because they're almost all gone now, and I don't know the motivation behind it. But I'd read somewhere that Friedkin was like, I'm going to film it, but I'm going to film it where it's unlikable. You know, it just wasn't, oh, they're now in San Diego working. Like, he's like, I'm going to do the most ridiculous thing, so people are going to be like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? You know, just stick with the other ending and stuff. But even he didn't like the exaggerated happy ending. Do we call it that? Is that what it is? You know, do you call it the happy ending, I guess, because they live and they got masters or whatever, but who knows? You know what I mean? So we give you the idea that it all played out the same way, except that you see that Chance is alive, and it just doesn't work. I mean, it really doesn't. You're watching this gritty 2-hour movie of just these, you know, the worst characters, not despicable. There's only a few of them that are despicable, but just the worst characters that you need a shower afterwards because they're both criminals. Let's face it. You know what I mean? It's one criminal who hides behind a badge, and it's the other criminal who hides behind his anonymity, so to speak. And you know what I mean? Yeah. But, you know, one decides to cross the line to become that type of criminal to catch the other criminal. And it's a trope nowadays that people do. You know, we've seen it in a million films, and I know Bob and I were going to touch on that. This is really one of the births of the earliest anti-heroes because the 80s birthed the anti-hero. The 70s really birthed it. I'm sorry. So you could go back even in the 50s and 60s and find movies like that, but the 70s really came into their own with that type of genre, but the 80s, that was it. I mean, it was, you know, they were off and running, you know.
Even one of your favorites, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, like Dirty Harry for me is to me, that's my first anti-hero, but, you know, I mean, even Popeye Doyle, to touch on another Friedkin one, you know, which is why people compare To Live and Die in L.A. with the French Connection, because, you know, Popeye was kind of like, I'll do what I need to do to get, played by the fantastic Gene Hackman. I'll do what I got to do to, you know, get these guys. But even so far as the very First Blood, not all the trash that followed. I mean, they're good popcorn movies, but, you know, the John Rambo in First Blood is an anti-hero. You know, they were, you know, he just wanted a cup of coffee or something, you know what I mean?
Right.
But
yeah, Travis Bickle and Taxi Driver, which is one of my favorite
Taxi
movies.
Driver,
Michael Corleone in The Godfather. You follow him through all his trial and tribulations, and he's not quite a good dude. Tony Montana, Scarface.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
These are all good. I forgot about some of these. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the later years, like John McClane, although that's late 80s, I think, the character of John McClane, that is I believe that character became the quintessential anti-hero, like the snarky cop, I want to go against the rules. And it seems like everything after that, if it was a cop, he had to be an anti-hero, just couldn't be a by the book guy. Mel Gibson's, Martin Riggs, that kind of stuff where you're like, okay, they'll do what they can. I guess I had read like Terminator is an anti-hero, not Terminator. Well, yeah, the Terminator from like Terminator 2, like Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, because he's a good guy. So even though it's something that was designed to be a bad guy,
they needed a good guy. The lines a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I don't know. So, but
two of my favorites, I guess, would be Henry Hill in Goodfellas and The Driver, played by Ryan Gosling in Drive, which I absolutely love that movie. And he's another great anti-hero because he's trying to do good and he just can't get there. He gets there to a certain degree, but then he's got to do some shady stuff to get there. Yeah. So
yeah. Well, that's always because there's that element that's pushing him. Like you work for me now. There's that element that
they can't escape.
They can't escape. Yeah. So, but there are a few films like that now. Baby Driver comes to mind too. Where he's still a criminal.
They just can't escape their past.
But because we love to hate them, we as an audience tend to overlook the foibles that make them bad
faults.
Guys because, the faults, because we want to root for them. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. In a broader sense, Rocky is considered an anti-hero because, he's not, he is the likable guy, but he still rises from all this other crap around him.
The original
Apollo Creed,
Rocky, right?
Yeah, in the first two movies, he's just the opponent. He's not really the villain. In the second one, he's portrayed more villainous.
Well, Rocky's working for Gazzo, right? He's kind of
he's a leg breaker. They call him. He's on the docks. What do they call that? What is that called? Loan sharking. Yeah. Well, that's what Gazzo is. So he's
right. He's kind
works
of
for
body
Gazzo.
and the muscle, right?
Yeah, the muscle. Like that dude, not Chance's partner, but Master's partner. He's just the muscle and stuff. So
bodyguard.
So I guess the definition of anti-hero is like, well, does he break the rules, and how far does he go to break the rules to achieve his goal? That's what kind of makes the anti-hero. And when you throw characters in a neo-noir movie like this, my ultimate anti-hero neo-noir movie for me, and probably top 5, it's way up there, is L.A. Confidential.
Oh, yeah.
Like early Russell Crowe, Bud White. This is a cop that he's got this one moral line that he won't cross, but other than that, he's just not the greatest. And even Ed Exley, which is played by an amazing Guy Pearce early in his career. I think both of them started out with this, but even he's got to realize that he's not as goody two shoes. So if you haven't checked that one out, folks, I put it right up there. It's really great. Well, thanks for joining us in this walk down nostalgia lane of not only a great William Friedkin film, but, a great movie itself, period, that launched the careers of quite a few actors that we've enjoyed over the years. So, yeah.
All right, folks. Well, follow us at the Fandom Outpost on social media and everywhere you get your podcasts. Check out our Instagram and Facebook page. Join the conversation. And we'd love to hear from you. And again, please like and subscribe to our channel here at YouTube. We really appreciate that. So with that, I guess we'll say goodbye. I'm Bob.
Yep. I'm Mark.
Thank you for watching the Fandom Outpost. We'll see you next time, and hopefully we'll bring in our third party there, Jim. So hopefully we'll all be
back from assignment.
Back from assignment next time. Yeah. All right, we'll see you later,
right,
folks.
Cool.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.